Hello and welcome to Playing Favorites. I'm Paul.
I'm Justin, and Paul, I have a question for you.
Yes, hello, Justin.
Do do
What's your
do
question?
do you have it? Do you
Yeah.
have it? Guts.
We can sit here and just sing the song. It's fine. Which is mostly just there's no words.
You know
And
Mike
it's
O'Malley. You got his number, right? You can call Mike O'Malley. Give him a
I'm
call.
pretty sure you could just Google his number and he would pick up if you're like, do you have work
I,
for
I
me?
would rather have Mo on the show. That would be who I'd rather
Oh,
have. Mo
I
was
had
the
a
best.
crush on
Who
Mo.
didn't
Oh
have a
my
crush on
gosh.
Mo? I would love her to give me the Guts aggro crab trophy.
I like to see her. I really thought you were making like
No,
a
I wasn't
double
going
entendre.
that.
Like, I'd really like to see her guts. Like, no, I would definitely like
Anyways,
to receive. If I was going to pick who I get my chunk of the giant rock, I'd want it from Mo. Yeah, I
yes.
agree. And
Anyways,
that's what we're here to talk
yeah,
about, Justin. We're here to
I,
talk
I,
about
I
90s
lit-
television.
literally have the aggro crag behind me right now. So if you're on a
Mhm.
if you're not on a YouTube channel, this is why I'm talking about. But there's a reason we're talking about guts today, right,
Yes.
Paul?
Will you tell them, Justin?
Today we're gonna do our another decades episode. I love doing these decades episodes.
Do too, man.
There's a lot of decades we have not done yet. I don't know how many,
Get
but
ready for 1920s.
this is the first time we've done decades for television, though, which is
It
really.
is indeed.
Yeah, it really is. So we're gonna do our favorite '90s television show. Now we've done like favorite sitcom and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But we're gonna go year by year in the '90s. We just did this for movies a few weeks ago, and we're gonna figure out what our favorite television show of the '90s is. This is wild to me. I actually don't have it. I have like when we did the movies and things like that. Like I have an idea, maybe what it'll be.
Mhm.
Television,
Yes.
I have no idea because honestly, we're doing it based on premiere date. So
And so much. There
one
is
thing
so much.
I noticed when I was looking for an image behind me, I stumbled on the Seinfeld restaurant. I'm like, oh, I can use that. But
Ooh,
I'm like, but
much
wait a
better.
minute. Seinfeld released in '89. So we
Oh,
can't
that's true.
talk about it this decade.
You know what? I'm kinda glad, though. I noticed that, like, there were some things that we had, kinda talked about, but that did not start in the '90s, that had, like, started in the fall of '89, and that's actually better, I think, because there is a ton of stuff to talk about. Ton of not of, like, of course, there's a ton of TV shows that come out every year, but a ton of things that you and I would both say were, like, formative television. Things that we watch, things that we look forward to and, like,
Sure.
remember
Yeah.
really, really well.
Hmm.
So, I'm super excited. Like
Yep.
like you said, we're gonna cover the decade, we're gonna do it over 2 episodes like we usually do. Today, we're gonna cover, years 1990 through 1994.
Hmm.
Um, Instead of doing a surprise topic, we're just gonna jump into this. But before we do, really quickly, just to mention, if you're watching on YouTube, great, thanks. Give us a like, subscribe, share us with your friends and family and enemies, anybody. Just share it, really,
Give us
please.
lots of
Just
comments too while you're watching the show.
yeah, we
Are
like comments. And if you
disagree
have
with
any
us? Agree with
suggestions
us?
for yes,
Tell us what we forgot
please.
about.
Debate us. But but also, I just wanna, like, remind people, we are always looking for suggestions for episodes too. Like, while we usually have, like, what we're doing for the next, few months down, it's always great to take, ideas from the audience. So please, if you have any ideas, any comments you wanna share, that'd be great. Look in the description for in either the podcast or in the YouTube channel to see our Twitter handle, our Facebook page. Check those out. But yes, Justin, without further ado, I think let's get going here.
Sure.
Would you like to go first? Would you like to tell me some
Yeah.
honorable
No.
mentions?
Yeah. So yeah, we normally don't. We usually do the rundown of like
Mm,
I like of stats and like things, but we don't
yeah,
really have that.
sure.
Like, is there like should we like do like a news article or something to say like this is what's going on in the '90s?
I'm so glad you did because that is kind of what I had anticipated, maybe a
Oh really?
little. Yeah,
Okay.
like a 1990 like notable thing that happened.
Okay.
So
You have that. You
not just
already have
stuff
that
that has to
prepared.
do with I do, if you want. Would you like me to
Well, yeah. If you have it prepared, I honestly was gonna do it on the fly. But if you got something prepared, I'll just sip my beer. That's on a
Oh,
green.
okay.
That's on a green
Well
screen, and it's really weird.
Um, So, in terms of just to give people a sense of what's going on in 1990, the if you remember, do you remember Milli Vanilli? Are you
Yes.
familiar
Yeah. Oh yeah.
with the
Milli Vanilli.
Euro dance band? I don't know what the hell,
I
pop
remember that.
music.
I don't remember that what it was. I don't know.
So, what was notable about them, they had, like, a couple, like, hits, "Girl, You Know It's True" and "Blame It on the Rain." They were just like a pop duo, and they were a couple of sexy young men and, dancing and singing. People loved them. But it turns out that they were not actually singers, and it turns out that even one of them could barely speak English. So they were just picked
Were
because they
they?
would be the face of this, and it was a whole lip syncing
I remember
scandal.
that scandal. That's right. I
So,
forgotten. Yeah. Go ahead.
so what happened in 1990 was that their Grammy award for "Girl, You Know It's True" was revoked from them. So it was a
Uh,
big thing. I don't remember the last time a Grammy or an Oscar or anything was revoked. But, also this year, for all you science fiction nerds, Hubble Space Telescope launched
oh,
in
cool.
April of 1990,
Hey, this is
and
TV facts that has nothing to do
yeah,
with
there you go.
television.
You did so good, having all the rundown of the box offices for movies, so the least I can do is throw and finally, last but not least, the dissolution of the USSR was completed in 1990
Oh boy. Okay.
February 7th.
Anyways, we're gonna talk about
Cheers.
things that are more enjoyable, I guess. So for 1990, I guess I actually didn't have a lot to write down for this year. It gets better like as we go deeper, but I
Sure.
honestly didn't know anything in this year whatsoever. Like when I was going through it, I was like, I don't know any of these movies. At least I didn't watch any of them really.
The
Uh,
movies, really, of that year?
or no, TV shows.
Or you're
Yeah,
talking television? Yeah, yeah, okay.
yeah. I'm like I wrote a lot of kids shows. To be quite honest. But
Yeah, that makes
I was between two. Like I actually three. But I'll say like Captain Planet and Planeteers. I'm
yep,
gonna shout out
let's
that
throw it out there, yep. Give our
Tailspin.
salute to
Shout that out there
TBS.
too. Tailspin was a great show. We've talked about in the
Ha, ha,
past.
ha.
Um,
Love Tailspin. Tiny
I
Toon Adventures, can I throw that out there? Throw it in
well
the
see
mix?
that was like one of my borderline favorites, but I don't think I'm gonna pick
Ooh.
that one. So I actually am gonna go. It. I'm gonna say the one. This is my favorite. My favorite is Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah, yeah, that's I got that written down here too.
Yeah, I
Yep,
have to
that's
say
like
like
that was like part of that Snick block. Oh, so good.
I mean, that show was amazing. Like I remember, like it wasn't like scary, but it was enough creepy that
Mhm.
you're like you were.
Suspense.
Yeah, it was like you really wanted because I think there was always a happy ending. Like no, you know what I mean. But it was always creepy all the way through, and
Mhm.
I loved that episode. I can't really remember like I can't try to remember any kind of particular episode because it was like live action Goosebumps. I mean, that's really all it really was, right?
Yeah. No, you got it right. Like that's a great description of it. Live action Goosebumps because it was like all most Goosebumps books ended like with a kind of a happy ending or mostly good ending, and just about every Are You Afraid of the Dark ended that way. But I love the framing story of Are You Afraid of the Dark is that they were the what was their name of the group that sat around the campfire telling stories? And then they'd
Oh,
throw like a from a bag of I don't know,
yeah, there was like
witches
powder or
powder.
something.
Yep, to make the fire flash.
I'm gonna see if
The
it's in
the
here.
Nightmare Society,
Is it the
um,
Nightmare Society?
oof,
The Midnight
Midnight
Society.
Society.
Yeah, the
Yes.
Midnight Society. They went to
I
a
love
secret.
that, and
Oh, I have a description right here. Every episode, they went to a secret location. Was at night. I'm reading off of Wikipedia. One member would tell the scary story of the group. The actual story, rather than telling, was displayed in the television viewer. Oh, they don't talk about the dust or whatever they throw into the fire. They didn't. They don't mention that.
that's okay. That's alright. Great choice. Great
I
choice.
love the little intro too. It's like a candle or something, and it goes out or something like that. Like it
Somebody
like
holding a match,
it's a match.
and it,
That's
like,
right.
kinda, like, rises up, yeah. And the
I do have
music is creepy.
yeah.
There's a picture of a clown and a swing
I'm
by
just gonna
itself in
I'm
the
gonna
dark.
list off some episodes. Do they have names on them? I'm just curious if anything kind of like brings up
I don't
anything.
remember. a lot of those
It
episodes.
just says season one. There were 7 seasons of this. This went all the way to 2000.
No, it took a break for like a long time, and
Well,
then it
yeah,
came
it
back.
came
So
back.
remember
That's
they
right. It was a
brought it back.
revival. So 95 it ended, and then
Okay,
it
yeah, that
came
seems
back,
about right.
and it came back in 99 for 2 seasons. And then actually they made 3 episodes in 29. They just came out with 3 more. Cardinal,
Okay.
like made movies or something. I don't know. Like came out recently. Like last year there was one called Ghost Island.
I remember. Wait, that's a Goosebumps story.
Yeah, it says
Ghost
there was
something.
3 things that came out. One in 2019, 2021,
Oh,
and 2022, and it was Carnival of
yep.
Doom, Curse of the Shadows, and Ghost Island. I
Ghost
don't,
Beach is what I'm thinking of as a Goosebumps book. But yeah, okay, cool. I had no
anyways,
idea.
yeah, me neither. Anyways, what's your favorite? I have another honorable mention, but I'll let you do your favorite first.
Well, I'm just gonna say, like, yeah, Tailspin, Captain Planet, I had on here, Tiny Toons Adventures, all
Yep,
really fun to watch, especially Tiny Toons.
that is
Also, as
great.
an adult, like, you could appreciate a little bit more all the movie references and television references. Like Animaniacs, it was like that.
Yeah,
This is for kids and adults
we
kind
didn't
of thing.
notice the stuff when we watched that tunes though,
Mhm.
and we got
I
introduced
was
a
also
really great band. That's all. That's all I say too.
yes, TMBG, baby. Uh, there was, Wild and Crazy Kids. I did watch a good deal of that,
That's my other honorable
with Donnie
mention.
with
Omar
Omar
Epps.
Gooding, Omar Gooding, Cuba Gooding Jr.'s brother.
Oh, really? That's I didn't know they were
Yep,
related. That's really
Omar
cool.
Gooding and Donnie Jeffcoat. I just remember his name because it was Donnie and then Jeff Coat, and I've never heard a name like that before or since. And I don't remember the name of the lady, the girl that was, with them, but it was those 3. Do you remember a little show by the name of Widget the World Watcher? It used to only show like
No,
6:30 on AM on Saturday mornings, but it was pretty good.
no, a widget. I just found the link. Oh, a character
Probably
looks
remember it.
familiar.
It's like an
Yeah.
environmental kinda show, like a lot of these shows at this time were like, how can kids save the world? Like, do your part to help out. But In Living Color also started in 1990,
Yeah, I saw that.
and
Yeah,
I
I remember
I
watching
did
that, but
watch
so
a good deal of that, mostly for Jim Carrey, and for Damon Wayans, who I thought was
mhm.
pretty funny. David Allen Greer too. But my favorite, Justin, by far in this period in 1990 is Parker Lewis Can't Lose.
I have
I
no idea
found
what
this
this
show,
is. I
like,
know.
randomly on, you guessed it, the USA
Oh my
Network.
god, our favorite
Um,
station.
it might have been someplace else, but I feel like I watched the reruns of it on USA.
Parker
But it was
Lewis
such a
can't
good show. It
lose.
was it was like this it was kind of like Ferris Bueller for television. Parker
Okay.
Lewis was like the same kind of character, like, he couldn't do wrong, like, he would always pull it out in the end, like, bullies would pursue him, the principal is, like, breathing down his back, and between his friends, like, they always managed to, like, get out of it. It was a really cool, like, I was like, "Oh, I hope high school is like that for me," type of, show. So,
This has a
I don't know,
look.
they broke the fourth wall a lot. It was a really
Okay.
funny, like, self-aware show.
It said the show focuses on teenage life and has a living cartoon like quality.
Mhm.
However, it contains
They
human
would do, like,
actors.
wacky stuff and, like, throwaway, like, cutaways, you know what I mean? Just, like,
Many
random
episodes
things.
contain subtle references to movies, politics, and celebrities.
And
Huh.
you'll appreciate this, the guy who plays the character, Parker Lewis, was, um, Harold from The Stand show that we watched, the
Oh.
6-part Harold, the guy who turns bad with the glasses.
Elaine.
He's the
Did he go
No, wait,
like
no, Nadine!
Nadine?
Nadine! Yeah, you remember him. Harold Lauder, he plays Parker Lewis. Um, but yeah, I don't know, it just had, like, really cool characters.
Okay.
Um, a guy that big dude, his name is, like, Abraham Ben Gurion, something like that. He played Kupiak, and Coop was, like, a fun character. He was kind of like a bully turned sympathetic, friend of Parker Lewis. It's a great show. I would highly recommend checking out some YouTube clips of it because I don't even know
Yeah.
where you would
Yeah, it's
watch
a
this
few there's only
show.
like 3 seasons according to Wikipedia, so it
Yeah, it
wasn't
was
around
pretty
that long.
short-lived.
But yeah,
Little
I have
gem.
so many more to talk about in later years, but like I was looking through this and I'm just like I can't remember any of this stuff. Like,
Gets
I
better though.
yeah,
It
it
does get
does. I
better.
mean, there was like cartoons that I remember. Like, I forgot they had made a Bill and Ted's cartoon.
Oh yes, I remember that.
I guess the Howard Stern show started this year too.
Mhm.
But like, it wasn't anything that was like, oh, I really loved watching that thing. I love when going through these lists. I find funny. It's like this is the start of Saturday Night Baseball. Like it's like
Oh.
it was random sports shows. It's like this is the first year of Monday Night Football or NFL on TNT. That's like on the list.
Ew. Wow. Cool.
Yeah, but
Oh,
we have way more to talk about in the next year. But what news article do we have for 1991?
well, I'll tell you, 91 is a big year, especially for music lovers, because you can say that officially grunge has arrived
Oh
because
boy.
Nirvana's album, Nevermind, drops, and they release the song Smells Like Teen Spirit, which got a video that everybody saw and just like was everywhere. So what do you get? You know, what is grunge for people who don't know? It's just like kind of distorted guitars, people mumbling a lot of their lyrics, and a lot of flannel. Just a lot of flannel. Also, Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubens is arrested for indecent
Oh boy,
exposure in a
of
Florida
course.
theater. It's you know, I feel bad because look, like at the time, people I remember kids in school talking about this, like Pee Wee Herman got arrested in a porno theater.
Oh my
It was like,
god.
whoa, like what? What are you talking about? And somebody had said, like, yeah, he got up on stage and was jacking it. Like, what the hell? How who does this? And then like years later, I find out, yeah, he was minding his own business and doing what people do in those theaters, and somebody recognized him and called the cops. Like somehow like knew he was like sort of a celebrity and
Mm.
blew up his spot.
He made a
Um,
resurgence later, though. I think he's
yeah, he
okay.
came back because it really like nowadays that's like not even
Oh
a
yeah, like I do that,
thing
but
about
yeah, whatever. You haven't done that recently? No, not really. No.
no, 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 not recently. No. And last but not least, in the Super Bowl, the New York Giants defeated the Buffalo Bills.
Hey, there's a sports
Uh,
reference. Look at that.
there you go. You like that? And yeah, but
Our Western New York fans will not like that comment. Good job.
oh, but our New Jersey fans will. Also, the last thing before we get into 91 in terms of TV, speaking of TV, Fox becomes the first network to allow condom commercials on its network.
Man, you really did a
Okay.
lot of research on this.
I just found this stuff, man, and like I thought it would be funny to bring this up just in case we didn't have anything to talk about. So here's to it.
Condom commercials. You know
Mhm.
what's really weird is I always got confused because you got like a little political. Like obviously Fox News is like so like obviously right wing, right? But
Insano.
there's
Yeah.
shows I don't feel like are like the Fox shows. Are they like separate people? I don't understand that at all.
I think it is a different division, like 20th century entertainment as a whole, because The Simpsons would regularly make fun of Fox. Like that's what they did. Like they made fun of their own network all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was a running joke. I think Married with Children also
Yeah.
made those kinds of like tongue-in-cheek jokes about the
I think
network.
Family Guy did it too, I think. I think
And
Family
Family Guy
Guy.
was Fox? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I guess so.
Like all those like cartoon
Animation combination.
like Bob's Burgers and all those types of cartoons were always Fox.
Mm,
American Dad, Futurama. You know, it's
that's
like
true.
anyways. But so 1991, I
Yeah.
before I get my favorite, just take a moment to also explain what was starting at this era of our life. The
Oh.
Jerry Springer show was
Yes.
released.
I wrote that down. Yes. This is an era of television. Yes. Please.
That is like the worst. Like we've done like our did we do bad TV shows? We've talked about bad TV shows, our favorite
Yeah.
bad TV shows.
I think we
I
mentioned
don't
this
think
too.
we ever brought up Jerry Springer though. Like those are like I mean
Huh?
they're bad, but they're really bad. But I would watch those all the freaking time.
Yes. Well, what else are we gonna do? Like, there were certain times a day where that was, like, all that was on would be Jerry Springer or Montel or Maury Povich, and they're
Yeah.
all terrible, and
Oh
they're
god,
all
yeah.
staged, you know, like, if you watch like if you watch just a few of them, you're like, okay, it's the same thing over and over again. And then they start chanting, Jerry, Jerry. And then they start chanting for Steve, the security guy, because people would get up and throw a chair.
So what
That
you needed
became
to
the
do,
thing.
this is what I did back in the day, because I wouldn't watch all those shows. I mean, it comes down to a chair finger. I would watch the show that was also released in 1991 called Talk Soup.
Yes, yes. Really, we
If
get to
you
talk
see
about Talk Soup.
if you're on the podcast right now, Paul literally did like a Rocky dance or something. Like I don't know.
Fist pumping. Hell yes. Oh, I love Talk Soup. I love all of Talk
Was
Soup too. I
Jim
can't say
Henson? Jim Henson. That the
Jim
name.
Hansen.
Jim
Yes.
Henson. He had
Jim
like the
Hansel with
weird.
his skunk stripe.
Yes, that show was
Yeah.
like YouTube skit comedy. Like before it was cool. Like I mean, like
Mhm.
it was great. Like I love that show.
It was really the prototype for a lot of what you see on the internet now. Like, it was just, let's pull a bunch of clips from talk shows that are crazy and
Yeah,
stupid funny and make fun of them.
yeah,
And, like, what was great about it was just, like, it's a camera on John Henson, and the crew is laughing, and you could hear the crew,
yeah.
filming and the sound people, like, laughing, and then they become kind of characters in the show. It's so good. It was him, and then Hal Sparks, who's okay, and then, Alicia something, I
Yeah,
can't remember her name.
I stopped kind of around when the other guy
Yeah,
when the guy replaced
when Hal Sparks
Jim.
started, yeah,
Like Jim made that show. You know what I mean? He
John,
was
yes.
John. Was it John? I thought it was Jim.
Jim Hansen or John Hansen?
Was it
I
John?
gotta look that up.
No, because
I'll look it up.
I used to like think like it's like it was like Jim Henson, like the Muppet creator. I used to like relate the two names.
Hansen. Mm,
I will pull up. I got
okay.
the link. I got the show links up right now. I'm gonna look.
No, Jim Hansen is,
Oh, it's
not
Johnson.
that
Oh, Greg Kinnear started it. I forgot about that.
that's right.
He was the initial host. It was Greg Kinnear, and then it was John Henson. Okay, you're right. It was John though.
It is John.
Sarah
It's Jim Hansen.
Sarah Silverman was on this at one point. He was
I
a
think
guest.
she was, like
he was a
like
guest
a
host.
guest host, really? I think
Yeah.
she, like, worked behind the scenes too.
Okay, was Roseanne Barr guest host on this?
Funny.
I'm trying to think of any other names. I guess so. Julia Sweeney did. Kevin Nealon. I don't know. Kevin Nealon. I know him. He's from SNL.
He did that?
He
Wow.
did. Jennifer Love Hewitt did a guest thing. Jerry Springer did it once. These are all just guest hosts. Jimmy Kimmel did it once. Wayne Brady, French Stewart,
French
David
Stewart.
yeah, David Spade. I mean, he was big. French Stewart. You know, because we did it a few weeks ago, and I was listening to it because you had mentioned Stargate. We never brought up French Stewart. He was in that too.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
Military dude, French Stewart. Military strongman, French Stewart.
But is Talk Soup your favorite, Paul? Is that your favorite? I was excited to talk about Talk Soup, to be quite
It
honest.
is, and I don't care because I love that show. I loved, and eventually became The Soup later on.
Oh yeah, okay, I
And
remember that
it
too.
came back. I forgot who was the host for that, but it was good. It was, and it was all instead of talking about talk shows because that era kind of died out.
I feel like the Daily Show
reality television
the Daily Show was kind of the same thing in a way with news.
with
right?
Craig Kilborn in the beginning. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it
then
wasn't
they kinda,
great.
yeah,
It wasn't great.
But I mean, it still kind of did that even with Jon Stewart a little bit. They would clip things from news shows
Sure.
and stuff like that. But yeah, they
But then it
kind
became a
of they
serious
broadened and they had a bigger scope to it. But yeah, the other one, there is so many shout outs for this year, but like I was thinking Talk Soup as like more like I can't, it's really exciting that you actually watched it because that was like more of a me and my friend Pete, we would all be obsessed with that freaking show.
Me and Kevin, we would talk Soup a lot.
But I have to say, because this is just like it's a special show in my heart because I love this show. I mean, it's Ren and Stimpy. I love freaking Ren and Stimpy. Yeah, I had to pick it.
You got to give credit to Ren and Stimpy, Rugrats, Doug.
Yeah, the
Nicktoons.
But Ren and Stimpy thoe, I loved Ren and Stimpy. I was like,
everybody loved Ren and Stimpy.
I mean, that was the SpongeBob of our era. I just like all the different skits and just the weirdness of it, the wildness of it. It's odd that it was initially MTV and for like a hot minute, and then it became Nickelodeon. Like I remember watching it MTV at one point.
Yeah, because I think it was showcased on Liquid Television, which
Yeah.
is another great thing, which is another thing that came out in this year was Aeon Flux,
Okay.
in '91, which is, something that else that got its start with Liquid Television, which was just a series of, like, animation shorts, like, adult-themed animation,
Yeah.
like, teenager adults it'd be like it was like a
Aeon
prototype for
Flux
Adult
though
Swim,
was something I would felt uncomfortable watching as a kid because
yes.
they would
Yes,
like
you do.
they
You're
would like
like, "I don't know if
kiss
this is"
in a weird way. Like their tongues would like twist around and like do this
Yes!
weird thing.
Well, do you remember she kisses I think his name is, like, Trevor, the other like, the guy who's either usually her friend or enemy. I could never tell, like, if there was a constant story or if it was just, like, each episode was its own story, but the guy who was, like, kind of antagonist to her always, they're, like, on a train, and it's, like, 2 trains are, like, right next to each
I don't
other,
know.
like,
I
going at the same time, and they're making out,
okay.
and her tongue goes into his mouth, opens it, and it's, like, inside his mouth, opens a tooth, takes out a little thing, and
Oh
then
my god, I
closes his
feel like I
tooth,
remember
and then he comes
this.
back, and it's like a little scroll he opens up,
I
like,
remember
reads
seeing that. Like that's that
it's that
visual. It's so
weird
weird.
yeah, it's so, like, it's seared into my brain.
It's like I
But
don't yeah. Oh.
Ren and Stimpy was great for that kind of, like, gross out humor that was just, like, strange, you're and I remember specifically the Space Madness episode
I remember that
where,
one.
Ren is eating a he's in the it's the one with Happy, Happy, Joy, Joy, because Stimpy, I think, puts the
Oh,
helmet
okay.
on
Yeah,
him.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But before that, he's, like, going crazy or during that, and he takes the bar of soap in the bathtub, and he's like, "This is my chocolate or this is my ice cream sandwich. I've had it since I was a child." And then he starts eating it, like, taking giant bites of this bar of soap.
Here's the question I
So
have for you. Would you
silly.
let your children watch this show at the age that we watch this show?
No, maybe. I'd let him watch Doug and Rugrats,
I'm just specifically at Ren and
but
Stimpy.
not
I'm
Ren
not.
and Stimpy. Not Ren and Stimpy. Give me 1 to 2 more years for Ren and Stimpy. Just because I don't wanna hear that shit. Like, I don't wanna hear "Happy, Happy, Joy, Joy" singing
Like
over and
I
over.
personally love all the side things like hot powdered toast man, like the little I like the log, it's big, it's heavy, it's wood.
Heavy it's wo
like like just the little
it's better
infomercials.
it's better than bad, it's good.
Run over your dog. Run over your neighbor's dog. But
Looks
no,
great for
Ritz.
a snack, fits on your back. Log, log, log.
But like I love like they just like the so they were literally just like prop
Oh,
characters. They just got thrown around like so they would do like the story time things. I remember when it was like Stimpy was a giant and Ren was like a little person. He was like cleaning
like
his
the giant, yeah, like Jack and the Beanstalk type of
yeah, that
story, yeah.
stuff. Yeah, like he would do those things. But I have like a
Mhm.
story with my dad with this because my dad he used to call it Ren and Stinky. So like he would always call him Stinky, and I'm like, no, Dad, it's Stimpy. Like I would always have to correct him over and over and over again. And I'm
Mhm.
like, and then finally they had this episode that was like promoted like crazy. It's like something big's happening on Ren and Stimpy, and someone's having like it looks like they're having it made it seem like they were gonna have like a baby or something like that.
Yes,
Right? You know,
yes,
yep, you got it. So
and you and I believe you have told me this story before. I
yes.
remember this. Go for it. Go for it. Yes.
But so he had and then they there's a big event. It was like a big event on like Saturday
Mhm.
night. Like you had to watch it. Like you had to be there for it live. Otherwise you'll never see it again.
Yep.
And then what he just farts and has a baby called Stinky. Like
Yep. The fart itself is, like, alive, kind
yes.
of, and
And
he cares for it like a
my
child.
dad was at work. So I called him. I'm like, Dad, you're not gonna
Oh,
believe what
no.
happened.
Stinky's on the show. Oh my god. Dude, yeah. Though I loved Ren and Stimpy, and there was never enough of it, and they always like, the guy had so many problems just actually
Yeah.
making the show.
But
And then when they try to bring it back, same thing for Spike TV, they brought it back, and it's same problems. He's a interesting animator, but he was just just not really committed to. I don't know. I don't know what his deal is. I honestly don't know.
The thing with that
Why
show though is like I would watch the same episode over and over again. I didn't care if it was reruns or whatever. It was just something oddly
I started
like
to care.
engaging.
I started to really get pissed off that they were only reruns.
Oh, really?
It's like watching Dragon Ball Z in America, and you think like, "Oh man, are we gonna get a new episode?" And then it restarts at the beginning of the series, and you're like, "Damn it!" Like we have to watch
Yeah.
the whole like first 2 seasons again before we get the Frieza saga or whatever. But anyways, I digress. Some things to shout
You
out
can't talk about
from
that.
this one.
That technically came out in the 80s too. So
Yep, we'll talk about it.
uh,
I would like to also mention Pirates of
I
Dark
wrote that
Water.
down. Yep. You know, I
The
feel that
adventure
show didn't get a chance to live out what it could have been because I think it got canceled before they finished the story because like they
yeah,
never found all the whatever gems they had to find or they had to find something. There was
something.
something they had to find.
He's got like his necklace is like has the thing that can destroy or dissolve the dark water. It's a cool idea.
Yeah,
Like pirates, and they're like kind of good pirates and being chased by evil pirates.
the characters are cool.
Uh,
I agree.
and there's that weird monkey bird dude. But yeah, there's that. There's the Adventures of Pete and Pete, which was high up on my list. But honestly, like I don't know. I think I have to watch it
Hey,
again.
that was at 91.
Are you
I don't have
sure?
I don't have it
Oh,
on 91. I have it a different year.
okay. Well, then I'll leave that off for now.
Yeah, I
Salute your
don't know.
shorts.
We're still in 91, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, I think I saw them. I didn't write it down. I wrote down Calissa
We
explains.
usually put shorts.
I wrote down Calissa explains it all. I watched that
And
show.
that was my second choice.
Yeah, that's a I
'Cause
like
I
that. That's a good
watched
show.
the hell out of that show.
But I would say like
Oh,
Dinosaurs came out that year. Like I was big in Home Improvement as a kid. Just throwing out random ones too, like that. But one thing they feel like it's I Land of the Lost. I used to love that show too. Do you remember Land of the Lost?
yeah. No, not a fan.
You wouldn't like it?
No, I would watch the theme song. I would
Okay.
watch the opening, and then I would turn the channel because it was boring to me. I don't know. I just couldn't get behind Land of the Lost. Land of the Lost.
Did you ever watch this though? Shop Till You Drop. Did you ever watch that
Is it
game show?
a game show? Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I
I
had
like
that
that
written
one
down.
and Supermarket Sweep. Those were
Oh, see, I'm thinking of Supermarket Sweep. I Shop Till You Drop must be different. I was thinking Supermarket Sweep.
similar. It's similar though.
Okay,
But
got it.
Clarissa Explains It All, I would say, is probably it's a close tie between that and Doug behind Talk Soup. I love Doug. I thought I was Doug for a
Okay.
while. Like I really I love that show. I felt just as weird and awkward as he did. And those episodes were great.
Who was your
But
Who was your Patty Mayonnaise?
oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Who was
Uh,
your Beats or whatever? What was that band they
who-
liked?
the Beats.
The Beats.
I thought you were gonna ask who was my Skeeter.
Oh.
Mosquito. His full name was
Skeeter.
Mosquito something. Skeeter. But the Clarissa Explains It All, everybody, I think every guy who watched this show wanted to be Sam, you know?
Yes, of
Be able to
course.
just like put a ladder on a girl's bedroom and just go up in there. Yeah.
What's wrong with wanting to be Ferguson? I have no problem with that.
I did.
I'm
Of
kidding.
course, everybody had a problem with Ferguson. Name was Ferguson. But I love the parents too. And it was weird seeing them in movies afterwards. Like, oh my God, that's Clarissa's dad.
Oh yeah.
He's in this like cop thriller. What is he
Was
doing here?
wasn't her mom like a health freak? She like always had tapioca pudding or something like weird
Yeah.
like that.
Well, yeah, like a natural store freak. Like she'd always go to Peter's Cornucopia or something. Not to name drop.
Our Utica fans will understand that.
Mhm.
Yeah, but yeah, the 91 had a lot of stuff. And where one more I want to say is two more actually, because one of them I actually was in a show for it once. Is What Would You Do? I was in the audience when I was 7 years old.
What? There's a lot of I'm noticing a similarity in Nickelodeon theme songs. A lot of stuttering. A lot of stuttering.
Yeah.
Is that like the one with it was like a panel with like not Danny Bonaducci, like the one who played Pete from
No, it was
Pete and
Mark.
Pete?
It was Mark Summers, and he was just like,
Oh, okay. No, I'm thinking
it was
of
like more of
something.
like a wrist show. It's like he's like, would you put your hand in this thing or like Like, what would you do
Oh,
this like crazy thing? Like, it was just it was like kind of a weird, like, I don't know, fear factor for kids. That's the best way I could describe it, really, is
yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know what I
like
mean? Like,
weird stuff. Yeah,
it was just oddly like this. They would bring people from the audience too, so I was like hoping I get picked, obviously. And then it's like, hey, like, you, what would you rather do, this thing or this thing? And then you do the crazy thing. I don't even think there was it wasn't even a game show. It was just like a weird, just people did weird things show.
like a would you rather? Like, if
Yeah,
you had to choose one, which one would you do?
yeah,
Huh,
exactly. And then Where on the
interesting.
World Covered in San Diego also came out.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so
Great.
91.
You mean the game show, right? Or the
Yeah, the game.
cartoon
Yeah, the game show.
with
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the
Rockapella?
game show. Yeah, it says game show. Yeah, it
Mhm.
says game show on
Oh,
my
so
list.
good.
Yeah, 91. A lot of stuff
It
happened
was
that
a big
year.
year. All right then. Let's sh what do you think, Justin? Should we take a little break,
I
and
think we
then
should
we'll
take a
come
break.
back, and we'll talk about 92, 93, and 94?
That sounds like a wonderful idea.
Righty. We'll be right back with the rest of this first half of the night.
Now, welcome back. I'm going to talk about some more television shows.
Yes,
Uh,
please.
are we going to talk about commercials in this episode too? Is that something else we're going to do? Is that another episode we should do? Favorite commercials from the 90s?
I've toyed with that idea if we could do that. We would have to come up with a lot of commercials, though, to
And
talk about to fill up.
we've done music videos, so we have done short form media before. So
True.
there is a
Okay.
possibility there. There is a
I'll mull that
possibility.
over. I like that. I like that. Well, let me tell you what's going on in 92. All right, we're gonna start with 92. We have the 92 Summer Olympics, I believe,
Oh,
this year.
where was that? Was that in
Yeah.
that's that in the US?
Barcelona, I think
Oh,
this
okay.
was?
I remember Barcelona.
It's, yep, it's in Barcelona. It's the first renewal of the Summer Games since the fall of communism in Eastern Europe and the reunification of Germany in 1990. So, yeah, I remember not the fall of communism part, but I do remember the Barcelona Olympics. That was pretty huge.
Hmm.
In the let's see, let me see what I wrote down here. In terms of things that are happening right now, Johnny Carson hosts his last episode of The Tonight Show. It's something he did for 20 years. And for the first time, CDs have surpassed cassette tapes in terms of sales as the preferred medium for recording
This
music.
early? 92,
Yeah,
really?
they surpass cassette tapes. And just a
Oh.
cool statistic, and this is really all I got. There's not too much. I mean, Bill Clinton and Al Gore win the election and become, their president and vice president elect at the end of this year. But George H.W. Bush also pardons people from the Iran Contra scandal.
I love how you bring so
Anyway,
much politics in this.
anyway, this year, by this time, there are 900 million TV sets in use around the world. 900 million.
Wow.
201 million are in the US alone. So, in terms of TV watching, we're watching a lot of TV. 1992,
I can
1992.
I can see that. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
a bunch of lazy
Was that a good
Americans
transition?
watching the
Was that
I don't know.
was that a good enough transition to talk about these things?
Sure, I guess I will talk about.
May I just bring this up just very quickly?
Sure, of
You can.
course.
I do want to hear your honorable mentions and your favorites. I don't have too much actually
Yeah,
for this
I
year,
don't have a lot for 92 either.
but I have to give a big shout out to, speaking of news, Nick News W5 with Linda Ellerbee.
Oh, it came out this year. I didn't see that one. I
Yes.
used to love Nick
So
News. Linda
yes,
Ellerbee was
I
great.
it was like news stories for like older kids that we could like understand and kind
Yeah,
of, follow things about the environment, things about some
sure.
little politics, but like what was happening with other kids. And I love that the W5, who, what, where, when, why. And that's what they would give us with Linda Ellerbee. She was
Oh man,
awesome. I
yeah,
don't know why
that was
that
good.
show
No,
worked.
And it wasn't really a show, right? It was like in between shows. Isn't that what they used to do?
It was a show. It was on Sunday nights, though. It was, like, a weird
But she would
time
like
slot.
pop up in between shows sometimes and do like a fact or
Oh,
something. I
yeah,
feel
like a
like, right?
30-second
Yeah,
bumper
like it's
of,
like,
like,
hey, did you
yeah.
know this thing? Like, make sure you do this thing. I'm Linda Ellabry from WW5.
But, I mean, when it was like a promo for the show, and so they would,
Okay,
like, work it as, like, a
got it.
little news angle, but
Well, first thing we already talked about one of the shows that came out this year. It's right behind me. The Aggro Crag came out this
yes.
year. Guts.
Gosh,
See, this was a great show. Like I
it
actually
is.
like I if a couple other things didn't come out this year, this could be my favorite. But I have to say, like I was rewatching some stuff before this episode, and I'm like, man, this show is crazy good. But I'm like, these kids are little. I don't remember
Yeah,
them being
they
this small. It's like,
like, they're, like, 10 and 12?
yeah, like 11-year-olds. And I'm like, and I love how he gave them like names. Like they have names. It's like, I want to be like an adult that was on this show and like we're watching myself. It's like, it's like Sarah, the rattlesnake banner.
Oh,
Like,
yes! Mike O'Malley should be like "I don't like snakes." "Alright, we'll call you Sarah the Rattler." Like,
it
he's
was
like
like,
he's, like, hyping these kids up, though, I remember that very
oh
clearly, like,
man. And then like the
they're
Aggro
so
Crag,
shy and, like, I don't know what to say, and he's like, "Alright, we're gonna do this." Like, "Do you have it?" Like,
like, and
just
like, what, like
gung ho.
the people that won this rock, right? Like, they're adults now, okay? They're stick with me. Where is it? Like, where do they put it? Where would you put the rock? It's like it's gigantic.
Would you sell it on eBay if you won the rock?
I don't know. Is it worth? Like, let's find
Hard.
this out. How
You
much
go to
does
the
it
pawn shop,
cost?
take your
How
this is a
much?
genuine piece of the aggro crab.
How much does
$5.
does the Aggro Crag Rock trophy cost? I'm gonna find
How
this
much is
out.
it worth?
Uh, you can buy it for $1,500.
I had fluid in my mouth, but I didn't do a spit take. That wasn't too surprising.
It's not.
I
It's like
suppose
that's
it's a
it's
rare
a
thing.
collector's item. I mean, how many episodes did
Yeah.
they have? Like, it's got to be like only like 50 of them out there somewhere. Like,
Oh.
I mean,
Don't they,
let's.
like, light up too? Like, aren't they lit from the inside?
Yes, they are. I don't know if they
The
have that.
rock
Do they
glows.
do double A? Do they do D batteries or do they do triple A's?
Oh, yeah, this is early '90s. It's like 12 D batteries are in there. And it only lasts for, like, 6 hours.
Oh man, but
Oh,
I used to get so excited for that show because it was like Gladiators. 'Cause I love Gladiators too. We've talked about that I think in
yes,
other
it was
episodes, but
kids' American
yeah, but like,
Gladiators.
oh, anyways, but yeah, that's not my favorite. But I had to bring it up because it is literally right behind me because it literally was the best picture I could figure out for this era. So it's like,
Sure, sure. No, it's
um,
good.
so do you have any other honorable mentions for this year?
Yes. Uh, really just one. It was a little show on Nickelodeon by the name of Roundhouse.
I remember
Uh,
Roundhouse vaguely.
that was a, like, music and sketch comedy type of show. It was like kids sketch comedy, but they were, like, older teenagers. They were, like, people in their late teens, early 20s, um, doing the skits, and there was always a guy who was, like, the dad in, like, the spinning, recliner chair, like, that, like, just moved around the set.
Hmm. I don't
I
remember this
loved
show.
Roundhouse. I haven't watched it in years. I haven't even a lot of these things I still haven't seen clips from in a long time. I just remember them. But Roundhouse was one of those ones that was just it was funny, and it was, like, meant for, like, older kids. I don't know. It was
Try to remember if I remember. The name sounds familiar, but I can't visualize it.
a lot of the people that were in Roundhouse would go on to be in The State, I think. Do you remember? And that was, like, a comedy group. Those are the people that eventually did, like, Reno 911, because The State was an MTV comedy show in that which was really, really good. And then a lot of those actors, like, went off and did different things, but then a lot of them, like, came back, like, the 3 or 4 main characters from Reno 911 got their
So
start in The State.
was this kind of like all that, but like it didn't all that wasn't out yet?
Yeah, and it wasn't kids doing the comedy either. It was, like, young
Yeah, I'm
adults.
looking at the pictures of it. It like looks like it's trying to be in living color, but for kids in a
A little
way.
bit.
It looks kind of like that anyway. I don't remember this though. I don't know why. I don't remember watching it.
I like it. It usually, like, it was in, like, the SNCC block,
Okay.
and it was usually, like, the lead up to Are You Afraid of the Dark, which
Mm.
is why I would
Yeah, I don't know
watch it.
why. I don't know why I wasn't watching it, but I actually have two that could be my favorite from this year. Um, and I don't even know how to pick between these two, but I am probably just gonna pick this one. And you
You
probably
pick one,
know,
I'll pick the other one.
is
It's
that what's
okay.
gonna happen? You know the two I'm
I
talking
think
about
so.
here. I'm gonna go with Batman.
Absolutely.
I'm going Batman the animated
Okay,
series. Yeah,
you can take
like
him.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard. With you, what's the other one there, Paul?
It's X-Men, the
Okay,
animated
X-Men.
series.
Yeah, like what's the? I mean, those are just like events like every week like for each of those
Mhm.
shows like you wanted to see. Batman necessarily didn't have like the continuation stuff as much, like you could just watch it, I think that came out like every weekday, or X-Men was more
Yeah.
every Saturday, right? But like
Yes, Saturday mornings at
you had
11
some
AM.
you had some you remember the the
Mhm.
time slot.
'Cause I used to set my VCR to if I was to say, like, which one I liked the most back then, it was definitely X-Men. I appreciate Batman more now, and looking back, the X-Men show was like, really? Like, it wasn't really that great? Okay. It was still like, there was still some good stuff in it,
The
but
cliffhangers got us back then though, like the
yeah,
cliffhangers, like
yeah.
that's what really kind of hyped
Worf's
you up.
death in the first episode,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
Mr.
Batman.
Sinister in the second
Oh god,
season,
yep.
yeah. All of that stuff, the Savage Land, the Sentinels, like Bishop eventually, Gambit. Like that's like where everybody loved Gambit too. Like everybody wanted to
Oh,
uh
that made me my favorite X-Men for the longest time was with that show.
yeah,
He was
yeah.
great. He just was
I
so
love Gambit.
casted so well. I mean, all of them were really good characters. I mean, I love the like casting of Storm in that. Storm was an excellent representation. I can't. I mean,
Yep.
I don't. I mean, really, I don't. They're like the best versions of those characters in my mind for the most part. Most of the versions of that in that show.
A pretty good beast as well.
Hmm.
Um yep, the Professor Xavier is pretty classic. And I love like those episodes with Professor X and Magneto. That
Yeah,
would be like these they would just end up being philosophical debates. They'd
yeah.
be like, "Charles, you choose to save these humans.
Hmm.
Why do you choose to?" And he'd be like, "Magnus, my friend, I hope that someday you will see the error of your ways." It's like that's how every episode with Magneto ended.
Yeah.
But the Juggernaut's really good in that as well. Like a lot of great stuff. A lot of great
Hmm.
villains introduced but yeah, I mean, if you wanna talk about
I mean, Batman just
Batman
had
is
a
more staying
style.
power.
It has like a
Mhm.
style, and the how they handled mature themes of that was some. I mean, I've seen some like back like a documentary type stuff of how they were able to just like get around certain censorships and so forth like that, just to be able to do certain things. Like some of the things that Harley does, and even like some of the villains doing that are very like I wouldn't say very kid friendly. Like there's some like very
Yeah.
like I guess darker type of things that happen in that show, and it like I remember like being like just excited for the Batman episodes, like even the premiere. I think when they introduced Clayface, because I don't think he was ever a character before. Like
Oh,
I was
he's
like,
so good. Those episodes of
yeah,
Clayface were so good.
like it's just the animation was so unique for that time. I mean, we were getting older too by this time. Like we were like almost out of elementary school or at least halfway through, and like I just remember like I don't really know if I think the Batman movies had just come out. And I had seen like Michael Keaton's Batman, so like
Mhm.
Batman was like kind of in my mind a little bit, and I was already a fan of Batman. Like I always growing up like loved Batman just because I always say, well, he's not a superhero. He's just a guy. Like he doesn't need superpowers to do his thing. So I've always been was like, kind of like rooting for Batman. But yeah, just the looking back as an adult, it's just something. I mean, I don't really go and go out and watch that show. Like, but if I had the opportunity to just like throw on one episode, I'd probably watch it. I'd probably like to pick certain ones, but yeah, no, it was really good. I think later on when Superman started getting made and stuff, like I didn't like it as much. I liked it when it was just like him, but when they started doing the
Yeah,
crossover stuff, it
when they
wasn't.
did when they brought the Justice League, then the animation changed a little
Yeah, it
bit,
wasn't
and yeah.
bad. It just like I'm like like it didn't seem to have the same I guess vibe. Like
No,
Like,
you're
I
right.
mean, we've talked
Right.
about like even like how much I appreciate the Phantom, the movie, the what is it, the Phantom Mask, the Phantom Mask.
Oh,
Um,
Mask of the
oh, Mask
Phantasm.
of the Phantasm.
Yes,
That's right. Yeah, like
yes,
even
yeah.
that movie is like phenomenal. Like I rewatched that recently, and I'm like, man, like this was intense. And then I mean, like I think you showed me even some of the later episodes too when the animation changed, but like just some of the movies with like with Tim
Mr. Freeze.
well well no like the one where I think like the Joker messes up with the Robin, he goes crazy.
Oh, that's actually a
That's
Batman
that's
Beyond.
that's the
Yeah,
Batman
that's
Beyond
Return of the
movie.
Joker.
But
Yep.
like but it's
Really, really
still
good
like the
though.
same, it's still like connected in a way, right? Like it's just like even though it's changed shows and gone to different movies and like that whole Batman Beyond era, all those cartoons all kind of mingled. But like a Batman animated series really started it, right? It just
Mhm.
yeah, it's a great show. I'm surprised I didn't make it my favorite cartoon. Now I'm talking about
You
it.
know, it's a really good show. And I think if you were to put both of those, Batman and X-Men side by side, which one has the better like legacy? I think it's Batman because I feel like
Sure.
you can watch those episodes anytime. They're like because it's in that noir, like kind of unspecified time period.
Yeah.
It's not like rooted to 90s mall culture the way Jubilee and a lot of
Sure.
X-Men is.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think they said they did that too, just so they could get around with guns. So 'cause if they had Tommy
yep,
guns, it was
yep.
easier to do like cops and robbers.
Yeah, you could show like 1920s versions of weapons, but you couldn't do like assault rifles or something like that. There is one last before we move on to 93, there's one last show I must mention, and I'm very surprised you didn't mention this. I was
I
kind
don't
of
know.
waiting for you to do
No,
this.
I don't know. What is it?
Um, Unfortunately, I mean, like it aired in 92, but apparently it was all taped in 91. But it actually aired on TV. When we would have seen it, it was 92.
Maybe I missed
And
it.
that is a little show by the name of Nick Arcade.
Oh, I missed that. Oh no. I was like I remember like going through the list like looking for it and then I just never saw it.
Oh,
I'm so sad now. How would I miss that?
don't be
Oh
sad.
man, that was
I think
I still
it
would
was
have picked
just a bunch
I still would
of
have picked
all
go ahead. Sorry.
game shows geared towards kids, Double Dare, What Would You Do? This was the one I wanted to get on.
Oh
All right,
yeah,
this is the one I
absolutely.
just wanted to be there for.
'Cause all the
So
kids on
absolutely.
that show sucked at video games.
Yes, they did. Thank you. I'm like, I know what they're doing. They're doing the weatherman thing. There's a green screen next to them, and they're looking at a monitor and watching themselves. I'm like, yeah, after a few seconds, I would get it. But, I can't say how I would do under pressure,
Yeah.
but
Well, but even they
but
went
these
to the
kids
little even they went to the arcade machines and they were like playing just jumping platforming
oh,
games. I'm like, they're horrible
yeah.
at.
They're, like, playing Sonic the Hedgehog and, like, going backwards. It's like, how do you fuck up a Sonic game? Like, it's like he just goes for you.
I
You
was like,
really
oh
just gotta press
man.
one direction.
No one's like, I don't know how to use a control strip. I don't know. I never played a video game before. I just happened to get out the show. Like,
Oh, the
no, that
only
was great.
I will say though, a little interesting fact, the only the actual, like, first party Nintendo game that was on that was Super Mario Brothers 3. There's a lot of people saw Super Mario Brothers 3 for the first time.
I
So,
thought I think I first time I saw it was in the movie The Wizard.
oh. Oh, it was in that movie, yeah.
Yeah, they showed it at the tournament. I think that's the
Hmm,
first time they actually did showcase it too. Is in that movie. That was like officially showcased. Because even back then they didn't really
uh,
have like conventions like they do now. But no, thank
gotcha.
you for not making this overlooked because that deserved it
We had to
deserved
talk
it
about Nick
deserved the
Arcade.
respect. What was the name of the host for that show? I'm looking at it
Oh,
now.
Phil Moore.
Bill Moore. Okay, I saw it. Bill Moore.
He was great. He like Mike O'Malley would, like, hype up the kids and try to
Oh
get them
yeah,
all
he
excited,
was
and these,
Video
like,
Zone.
absolute bland-ass kids.
The Video
Anyway,
Zone. What was the prize they would win? They would win
well, you could be called a video game wizard
let's
if you
say the
like.
team that moved Mikey won a prize and kept control. Any team and the team
Mikey.
receive.
That's right, the little game of
I
the
forgot
board.
about that. Any prize the team received was theirs to keep, regardless of game's outcome. Oh man, it's so funny. They had
Mikey.
so many weird bosses too. You had like like him, the one that I remember the most from that when they went to the VR, like just green screen VR thing, whatever you want to call it back then. It was so the setup was so freaking bonkers. Like they open up this big smoky room and you run in, and they probably just went into another room. But like it was like
Yep.
them on like a magic carpet, and like them like going up and down on a magic
Yes.
carpet, right, and trying to dodge things and fight a boss. And I'm like, man, that was such a good show. Good show. Anyways,
It's
man,
so
Nickelodeon
it
made some
seems like it's
great.
pretty hard though.
I mean, Nickelodeon made some great live action, like just whatever you want to call them, like I guess game
Mhm.
shows, but like yeah, just audience based shows. They were awesome.
Yeah. Guts, Nick Arcade, Nick News, Roundhouse. We can talk about them. All right, Justin. Very good. Very good. Good start to this last half of these first 5 years. Now tell me, let's talk about 1993. Lots of things are going on in 93. Would you like to know what's happening?
Just give me one important thing, because we got a
Yeah,
lot of shows to
I
talk
won't
about.
give you like who was on trial in 1993. Um, okay. If I have to just boil it down to one thing.
I mean, if you think it's worth
Okay,
the
okay,
time.
okay. I'll give you two things. One's neither of them are good news. River Phoenix, a young actor, 23 years old, very popular young actor though, um, died of a drug overdose on Halloween of
so
that year.
so sad news. Are there any happy news?
The first time Michael Jackson is accused of
Oh.
sexual abuse happened this year as well.
Anyways,
And Schindler's List came
what
out in Philadelphia, and the piano.
we've talked
It's
about
a
that
pretty
already.
depressing year,
We've talked
Justin.
about
It's a
that.
pretty
All
depressing
right,
year.
well, let's talk about TV shows then.
Oh, here, let me help you. Listen, the song of the year is also "Tears in Heaven" by Eric Clapton. Oh,
I already know your
oh,
favorite for this year. I already
it's
know it.
not. It's not.
Oh, really? Are you
I
sure?
swerved you, basically.
Are you
I swerved you.
sure?
Well,
Oh
because
man.
I've talked about it so many times, so I'm not
But
gonna
is it
keep.
but is it the truth? Are you really just picking someone else because you don't want to talk about it?
No, no, for 93, there is something
Okay.
that is equally good that I loved, I still love, that started in 93,
All right. All right. All right. All right.
and that is SWAT Cats. Tell me
What?
you watched SWAT Cats on Cartoon
That's
Network.
I saw that Alyssa. I vaguely watched. I did not really watch it though, to be honest.
Cartoon Network first really like, when we first got it, I just remember it. It's a good show.
I just
They
want to
flew
bring this up before we go in because we just finished talking. It just kind of ties into everything we were talking for the past 10 minutes. Legend of the Hidden Temple came out this year.
yeah, I had that down here too. It's like, oh, again, people running through the course and getting
But like,
snatched
the,
by the temple guards terrified me
but
as a child.
it literally was a carbon copy, sort of a show that came out in the '80s for Nickelodeon, which was like no one remembers it though, and I'm like the only one who remembers the show. It was like them having to clean a room. They had to like go through a house. It was Finders Keepers. That's what it was called. It was Finders
Oh,
Keepers, and they literally had like a house that was
that
like
they messed up, right?
yeah, like and it
Yeah,
was like the Temple of Doom. It was like the Legend of the Hidden Temple, but it had different rooms for a temple. But it literally
true.
was a kind of the same thing. Like I'm like, I used to love that show as a kid, and like no one would ever remember it because I could never like describe it because I could never think of the name. But then I finally found there's like YouTube clips for it. But yeah, it's called Finders Keepers. But that came out in the '80s. But like Legend in Hidden Temple is awesome. Like you have like the blue barracudas, the purple parakeet things, whatever. The teams are
Uh,
great. Olmec was awesome. Like
oh, yeah.
I don't remember the host for that one though. I don't remember his name. He had like he
I
wore
don't know.
like
He looked like Jeff Probst, he had like the
yeah the
tacky like adventure suit going on.
yeah.
No, I don't remember.
But I
Either.
wanted to make
I
that up since we talked about so many shows like
the
that.
kids game shows.
I
Yes.
can't believe they made a Netflix movie for that. I didn't watch it, but they made a movie based on it. I don't understand.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it's nostalgia cash in, right? Just
Yeah.
trying
All
to.
right. Well, I got to know now. I have a favorite, but I want to know what your favorite is because I really thought it was. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to say I thought it was Deep Space Nine.
And that is my like that's the first thing I wrote for this year in big capital letters and a number DS9. It's still like my favorite Star Trek show, still one of my favorite shows ever. But up there with my favorite shows is another show that premiered that year, and that is Late Night with Conan O'Brien. And
Okay.
this was the time, like I remember when Conan started, and a couple friends of mine were like, "Oh, you need to watch this. Like, you
It
got to
was
stay
good.
up and
I used to
watch."
watch it all the time. It was great. You're right.
Yeah, like it was just great. Talk about like cartoonish and breaking, like stereotypes for like what you could do in a late night talk show. I remember just like the Pimp Bot 5000,
Yep.
just like the masturbating bear.
Yep.
Courage, or was it? No, Triumph, the insult comedy dog. Such
My
great things.
my
I
my
love that
favorite
show.
skit from that show, I used to, because another my I would bring him up again. My friend Pete was into that show a lot too. And
Uh-huh.
I love that show. I just didn't even notice it came out. I guess I wasn't really looking at talk shows either. I was like, I don't know why. But I remember one skip where it's like, I think he was with it. So Conan, and what's his assistant? Was Louis? Who was his
No,
assistant?
Andy.
Andy.
Andy
And
Richter.
it's like, he's like, Andy, there's a bear in the audience. And it's just a bear just sitting in the audience compared to
Yep.
the it's like it was just so, they just kind of like just like went back and forth and nothing happened. The bear just and all of a sudden the bear just like chased him out of the room. It's like I used to memorize the whole skit. It was like that every word for word, but it was like, oh man, Conan's crazy. I love Conan. He's good.
Is, and I remember so many of those like wacky things. I mean, I started watching it then, like 93, 94, and I watched this like when I was in college. Like every night, my roommate and I we would watch Conan up until the musical guest, and then that was it. We would watch like the first hour of the show just about
So
every night of freshman year.
so like probably the past 2 years, I've been watching clips from Conan, but only the Norm Macdonald interviews because that's all that's been
Oh,
coming
those are
up.
great.
Yeah, they're
Yes.
so freaking good. They're hilarious. Because ever since he passed away, I just started looking at Norm Macdonald stuff, and I was just like, man, he like did not hold anything back. Like he was.
Please tell me you've seen the one with, Courtney Thorne Smith, who was on Melrose Place,
Yes,
who
I
was
did.
in a movie with Carrot Top,
Yes.
and he's like, "Oh, it's a movie with Carrot Top." He's like, "You know what would be a good name for it? What's that, Norm? Box Office Poison." Like,
I
just,
know, and
like,
like,
next to the actress who stars in the movie, just fucking the balls on him,
and
man.
then like he like the whole time he's like he didn't know what Melrose Place was or something like that. But
No,
then
he
all of
just
a
said,
sudden,
like, "I used to live on Melrose Place, and
yeah,
there's a restaurant called
yeah.
Melrose Place," and these idiots come out and they take pictures of it like it's a real. Yeah, yeah. He just consistently interrupts, but he made that segment memorable, where else it would have been just
Oh
a
yeah.
boring
Yeah,
segment.
like
That's what
Even Conan's like he always apologizes for, but he knows it's clip
good
gold.
TV.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
good TV.
I think one time it's like it's somebody that was like a skier was on once, and she like got crippled, and like
Snowboard, snowboard, yes,
so
she
more.
falls and he's like, "And get crippled?" And she's like, "No, no, I'm fine." And he saes, "I know it's very difficult, but it looks really easy." Like saying it to like this Olympic snowboard. Very funny.
Oh, Nora was such a, oh man.
I
Anyways, yeah,
I
but
love I love him for, like, the crazy skits and, like, reoccurring characters too, like, Max Weinberg, who is the band leader, the drummer, Max Weinberg 7,
hmm
his mother, like, this old lady would play his mother on the show sometimes. It was just funny, just,
yeah,
if
good
you
stuff.
like, early Conan
Do
is
you
so
watch
much
any of his
gold.
newer things at all?
Yeah, I've seen his I subscribe to, like, everything that he does. I
Mm.
watch to see whatever he's
'Cause
doing.
he was
I've
doing like
listened
even
to
like video game let's plays at some point. He was like just playing games and stuff like that.
Clueless Gamer. He played God of War. He's played just about every, like, AAA title too,
Yeah.
like, his buddy there, but, oh my god, I forget what game they're playing. Conan and Bill Hader are playing with it, and they just make fun of the dude. They're like, "Yes, it's got 46 megabytes." Like, just the way that they go,
um, so
but
there's a lot of good things that came out in '93. I'm going to list out some of my honorable mentions. Bill Nye the Science Guy. I'm going to bring him
uh-huh.
up. Good stuff there, right?
Well, what do
I
you prefer, Bill Nye or Beakman's World?
Bill Nye. I like
Okay.
Beatman's World, but I like Bill Nye. I don't know
I'll watch
why.
them both. I don't
But
know.
I will also throw in the what was it, the Wizard, that was like, it was like the Nickelodeon, it was like a really older version. What was it called?
Yes,
What was it called?
Mr. Wizard.
Mr.
Mr.
Wizard.
Wizard's World,
Yeah, that was like more
I would
80s,
call
but
it.
like
Yeah.
I used to love that show. Like that was great. That was like before Bill Nye's time, but like I used to find that really interesting. But anyways, um,
There's a
when
great SNL like reoccurring skit called the Science Room, which parodies that. You would
oh
love it
okay,
if you remember Mr. Wizard. Your
okay.
frustration with children that are on the show would be, it's good. It's good. Worth checking out.
This is
What
where I
else?
had listed Adventures of Pete and Pete. That's where I had it listed for 93.
Okay, that's weird. I had it for 91.
I
But
don't
yeah,
know.
it's a great show. Fun.
I
Iggy
want
Pop started
we're
as
gonna
a Shell's
fact check
second
it.
brother's dad. But
I'm gonna fact check it right now because I have it right here.
I love the
93. Yep, 93. Adventures of Pete and Pete.
Pete and Pete was another great one for the side characters. Like Pete and Pete are okay themselves. Ellen's all right. It's good. The
Mhm.
parents are hilarious. And
Arnold, the
Ar-
strongest man in the world.
Artie, the strongest man in the world.
And then what's in the ice cream guy, like the
Super soft.
Mr. Softy? It's such a
Yep.
sad. It's so sad.
Yeah, that's such a sad episode. Do you remember the one with the it was like a baseball theme one where like Pete was playing, like the older Pete was on this baseball team, and if they win, they can get like this like the slushy from the
Yes,
vending
vaguely,
machine.
vaguely
It was
remember. Yeah.
Orange Lazarus is the name of it. It was like a super
Yes.
special. And their
Yes.
coach was like, "You must win because I must have my Orange Lazarus."
I remember that. It's good stuff.
Oh, such a good another
Um,
weird show for kids.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, only because I was
Yep,
obsessed with it. I wanted to shout
I
that out.
watched when it
They're
when it
they're
came out.
they're releasing. It's probably going to be out by the time this episode is aired on our show. But like they're releasing that reunion thing on Netflix. There's a part of me that kind of wants to watch it, but not really.
I don't know. I will. This is how I will watch it, Justin. I will like
Well, no,
cover my face.
it's not even like a documentary. It's like them all coming back and like acting out their characters again. Like it's got Billy, it's got
Oh no!
Zach. Yeah, it looks horrible, but it looks hilarious. But what's her name? Kimberly didn't come back. Jason didn't
Tommy's
come
dead.
back. And well, this all got filmed before he passed away. So like he could have came back, but he didn't. But
Okay.
Tommy had been with Power Rangers for like way longer than all of them. He'd always be coming back. He was like in always
Yeah,
like an episode later on. Anyways, like, but yeah,
way later on too. Yeah, he.
I was a big Power Ranger fan back then, probably longer than I should have been, to be quite honest.
I feel like we got to watch it, and it was like we were just old enough where it was
Yeah.
like maybe we shouldn't be, but we're still gonna watch it
Oh,
anyway.
I went to movie theaters and I felt really old, my cousin, when the movie came out. Yeah.
But
Anyways, my favorite though, I wish I've gotten a chance to watch the entire series of this, but I've watched a very good amount of it. And there was a big chunk of it where I was obsessed with it. And that's X-Files.
oh wow!
I
Totally
loved
missed it.
X-Files. I loved X-Files. Like I remember I was
For sure.
always intrigued by it when it released because I was like, oh, what's this about? Aliens? And it looks kind of
Mhm.
like the music always got me, like the little intro thing. I don't know. But I remember they used to do marathons for the show around, I think, Halloween, where they would do like the top best X-Files episodes. So they would just run them in like, I think they would do like the top 20 or top 10. I think it was on the Sci-Fi Channel or something like that. So I'd watch those all the freaking time and then get obsessed with them. And then I would like, eventually I would own like the first like 7 episodes because I was in that like movie club thing where you like pay a penny. And I got all these VHS. I was able to get like X-File episodes because of that. So it's like I had the first like 8 episodes, like I would watch those over and over again, like the pilot and all that stuff. And I was always invested into the overarching story. You got the smoking man, like what happened to, Mulder's sister, the relationship between Scully and Mulder.
Yes.
But like all of that, I got sucked in, and then when the movie was coming out, where they connected the movie to the show, which was such a unique thing for the time because you never did stuff like that, right? You didn't have the movie affect what happens in the show. Like you just didn't do that back then.
It was supposed to be like a separate thing. Whenever it became a movie,
Yeah.
it had to appeal to general audiences. It couldn't have anything to do with
And
the show or have
they
it.
did it in a way that like it didn't affect the season really. They kind of I think they when the season started again, they just recap some of the movie because like Scully just forgets everything, kind of like she doesn't remember the
Oh,
things that happens or something like that. But I don't know. I just love that show. Like the dynamics between Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny. Again, all the other side characters were always really interesting. The way it was filmed, like the Monster of the Week format, really worked for me. But then you always had that kind of like ever moving forward storyline. But then when David Duchovny left and they brought in the T1000 actor, like
who
I
knows his
just
name? We know who he is, but we always just called him the T1000.
I just sort of like lost interest a little bit, and like I think that was when we were like finishing school, and like I always wanted to see how it ended, but I never really did. And then they try to revive it. I think like 7 years ago they try to bring it back to like they made new episodes like 7 years ago.
Brand new episodes.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I don't know.
But it was like a weird like I don't remember. I didn't watch any of it, but yeah, they try to bring it back, but it didn't. I don't think it really did that well. I don't even know if they. I think it wasn't on a streaming service either. And it was like sort of a weird like reboot revival thing because it like I feel like they just kind of like picked up if nothing happened or something like that. Yeah, season 10. It came out in 2016. Yeah, that's when it came out. Yep. But I like the show. It's a good show. Very unique, very different for the time, and had really cool effects.
Very good. I mean, the only thing I don't like about the X-Files is the name of that second movie. I Want to Believe.
I never saw the second movie. First one was great.
Yeah.
I had the soundtrack. At least I did until it broke.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
Yeah.
it got smashed in my
It's
car.
all CD.
It was a CD.
Of course, it was a CD. All right, Justin. Here we are at the last year of this first half of our favorite television of the 90s. We're going to talk about 1994, but there are a lot of things that happened in 1994. But I'll sum it up real quick.
Okay.
We started this show talking about in 1990 or 91 when Nirvana, Nevermind, released and really grunge starts. Sadly, in 1994, Kurt Cobain kills himself.
Oh,
He's 27 years old. Yep.
All these news articles, seriously, Paul, are so sad.
Listen, OJ takes the famous Bronco drive after he murdered his wife and
He didn't fit. Yeah,
allegedly. And here's an ER and Friends also debuted in 1994, which give like nine. But I'll leave you with this one happy note that before the Woodstock that was terrible, and after the original Woodstock, there was Woodstock '94, which commemorated the original weekend-long concert, and it had Green Day with a very memorable performance, Nine Inch Nails, and they were joined with Bob Dylan and the Allman Brothers Band. So it was really cool. I remember watching a lot of it on TV. I remember Green Day's performance. Remember seeing Bob Dylan and changing the channel because I didn't want to watch Bob Dylan because I didn't get it. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting year. Things are changing in the world. 94. And Nobel Peace Prize goes to Israeli and Palestinian leaders.
I'm like, oh, there's more
Progress.
Okay. Well, see if it lasts. Right. We'll find out next episode. So 94, Paul. What is your favorite?
This was the one that I had a real hard time with actually calling a favorite.
Okay, but I didn't have a lot. I didn't have a lot to list down about on this year.
Do you want me to list out some things first, or you?
Well, I mean, I have to mention. I have a guess of which one's your favorite. I mean, unless I missed something that I possibility, but I have a guess.
Well, I'll list some things that I know that you probably appreciate as well that are probably not your
You could
favorite.
just say The Stand and just take what I did in my movie episode.
Oh, no. No, I won't. I won't do The Stand. No. Even though I do remember when it was aired on TV because my brother was obsessed with it. He thought it was really cool. But VR Troopers, a
I
nice
saw,
Mighty Morphin
yeah.
Power Rangers knockoff.
Yes, I love the Air Troopers. I wrote that down.
Yeah, we are
What's funny
the
is that, like, with VR Troopers, so the girl trooper was in General Hospital, like,
Oh,
eventually at some point. And my mom used to be obsessed with General Hospital, and I could not unsee it. Like, because I'd watch it with her, and I'm like, that Carly that's a VR trooper.
he's in the virtual world. Like, it's like some crossover between VR and General Hospital. Oh, but The Tick also came out
Yeah, I
this
wrote that
year.
down. Good show.
I liked it. It was funny. It wasn't like my favorite thing in the world, but I always thought it was really funny. Spoon! Like we need an action cry.
I
Something that
just
we'd
love the
say with
fact that the main villain is a chair face. It's literally a chair
your
for a
face
head.
chipping. And he got 3 letters into carving his name on the moon. So every time they show the moon, it just says cha.
You know what's funny? If they try so hard to make that show live action, I think they've done it twice. And like,
Why? Just why just give me the cartoon again. Why do we have to go live action? God, do you remember the first live action version?
that
That
was
was
Putty, right?
really
It was
yeah, that
Putty
was, I
from
don't know if you
Seinfeld.
David something?
Yeah, I don't remember
David
his.
Putty. I don't know his real name. All That also started in
Oh, I
'94.
missed that
Was
one.
sketch comedy for kids,
I liked
which
all that.
starred Lori Beth Denberg and Danny Tamborowski, whatever, but also Kenan Thompson, who is still on SNL.
Yeah, he just got his star too in Hollywood. He got his Hollywood
Did he
star
really?
recently. Yeah, he got his Hollywood
Got a
star
TV
recently.
show too called Kenan, I think. Well,
Did
I
you see though? They're making a sequel to Good Burger movie. They
that's not
just
surprising.
they
I've
just
heard that they
announced
were
it. Well, he was at the Oscars. Or no, like the Oscars or the Emmys.
maybe the
Some
Emmys.
award show where he was like they did like his what you call it? They surprised Keenan. Was it who's?
I sent you this. It was
Oh,
an
you sent me
SNL
this.
where they had where it was Kiki Palmer who was the host. She proposes. She was like, "I'd like to work on a project with you," and he's like, "Anything you want to work on, I'm there for." And so she makes a reboot of Keenan and Kel called Keenan and Kelly.
Oh no, this is
And
different. He was doing he was at like an award show, and like
oh
he's at a bar, and it's like they're working a bar, and like he gets surprised. Like, who's the guy from SNL? What's the guy's name? Is that Keenan or
yeah,
that
Keenan
Kel?
Thompson.
So Keenan was on there, and then Kel surprises him, and it was like a big like reunion on stage. It was just kind of neat. I'll find the clip, maybe show you later. But I saw it recently. That's all.
Okay.
But
Very cool.
anyways, they announced recently they're making a Good Burger movie too. Anyways,
Fine. Sure. All That came out this year. Gargoyles.
yes, I
Were
wrote
you a
that
fan of
down.
Gargoyles? I
Yeah,
love that show.
Gargoyle was a great show. Great show. A lot of
Uh,
lore, a little lore to that show. I have to say, like a lot of
yeah.
like a history. Like you got the stuff that happened in the past because they came to New York City in the future. The villain was really cool. It was kind of like this like Lex Luthor esque type character ish.
Yes,
I
Xanadu.
like their cop friend. She was neat.
Yes.
You know,
And
I
very
mean, there was what?
also, I said she was also very good looking too as a
Oh, okay.
cartoon.
You cut out, so I want to make sure you said it again.
And yes. But I'm really tied between two, so I'll just say them. Spider-Man the animated series was really good.
Okay.
The only thing that I really can say against that show was that there's a lot of voiceover of Peter Parker talking to himself, which is it can be
Whatever.
fine, but if you watch a lot of it, you're like, Jesus God, I'm just hearing Peter Parker talking to himself for most of this. Um, but I will say my favorite was like because '94, we're growing up, Justin. Starting to get older. By this
Yeah,
time,
sure.
we're like 11, 12, something like that.
Something like that.
My So-Called Life was my favorite show.
Oh,
That's
I'm
our
surprised you didn't bring this other one up, but okay.
Claire Danes was the
I
lead actress.
remember the show. I didn't
2
watch
other
it.
people that have been working, and you've probably seen them in other things. But it was like a really cool, like kind of jaded view. Oh, what's his name? Jared Leto. That was like his first big role. Was like the guy that she had a crush on for like the whole time. But it really dealt with like teen stuff that I was like, "Oh, I gotta get ready for this. Like, this is what it's gonna be like to be a teenager."
It's like preparing yourself for the real world.
Really, like, hard-hitting issues 'cause her friend Ricky in the show is gay, and it was, like, the first, like, time I really saw, like, a gay character,
Hmm.
and his family had, like, abandons him, like, on Christmas or something, and he's, like, by himself, and I just remember, like, the feeling, like, so genuinely sad and, like, understanding the plight of people who, are different and that have to, like, deal with family and friends that reject them after it. So, yeah, it was, like, for my 11-year-old brain, it was pretty damn heavy.
Mm.
But yeah, it left a big mark, and, like, everybody I knew was watching it too, like anyway, that My So-Called Life with Claire Danes, great
I
show.
am
I don't know if
surprised you
it's still
didn't
over.
bring up Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
That was this year?
Yes, it was, sir.
Well, that's my favorite. Hands down. Are you kidding? Space Ghost Coast to Coast came out you
Yeah.
missed so many this I miss on the last year because I love Space Ghost Coast to Coast. They would interview people, like real famous people, and then just, like, clip the interview to just have them talk with Space Ghost about whatever they wanted.
And this is why we play favorites, people, so we can make sure we figure out our
Oh,
favorites.
that is why we play the game of favorites.
No,
Was
because I
this
was
your
like,
favorite?
no, I mean, it was up there. I actually have a kind of a surprising one. The one thing I wanted to, no, go ahead. I mean, I'll let you take your moment with Space Ghost.
Yeah, I mean, so many great inside jokes that I still have with my brother and his wife, like, just, Zor like, the character again, it's, like, about the characters, Zorak and Moltar and Brak, like, just hilarious. Their Christmas episode was so good, I recorded it so I could listen to it on a cassette tape, because they would do parodies of Christmas songs in between, like, little skits. So I recorded the whole thing with, like, a radio with a tape recorder in front of the speaker of my television so I could tape the soundtrack of I would just listen to that episode of
My
Space
God.
Ghost, and then I would put it in my sports Walkman, my yellow sports Walkman that would,
Yeah.
for
I'm
had no
glad that you missed this because I don't think you'd ever would ever in my life talk about my so-called life ever again.
This is true. I would never have even brought it up, but it was one of my favorite shows at that time. God, Space Ghost, though. Forget about all the teenage angst. Space Ghost.
Another show I have like two. I'm debating between these two for a favorite because it was actually hard for me to pick because I didn't really get into Space Ghost until later. I love Space Ghost, but I knew that was more of a favorite for you than anything else because that's just that is like you, like, just that describes your interest in TV right there.
Yes,
Um, but
my
the
favorite.
Magic School Bus came out this year.
Oh, I love the original Magic
The
School
Magic
Bus.
School
My kids
Bus.
are watching it now still, like, they still watch
I think that's my
it.
favorite because yeah, my kids still watch it. I used to love it too. I again, like, I was that was one where I
Right.
didn't the reruns never bothered me. Like I just like I want to learn this again. Let's go on a ride with Miss Frizzle.
Go
Um,
Inside Ralphie.
Even the new show is good. Like 'cause the new show is like sort of a
It is good.
continuation of it.
Yes. It is a
Um,
direct yes, it is good. I've watched a lot of it.
but the other one I wanted to bring up because like this one I actually was huge into as well, but it was like such a brief moment of time was the Secret World of Alex Mack
Oh,
on
I remember
Nickelodeon. Yeah.
my god, what were her powers?
Liquid. She was the T-1000's daughter.
Was it, like, liquid telepathy? She would
Yeah.
make bubble, and the whole premise of the show was her just keeping the secret from her parents,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah. She
that
didn't
was
want to tell people that she was like covered with toxic ooze from a truck.
yes! It's a superhero origin, really.
It's such a weird show. I don't even know how it ends. I don't even remember what I don't even know if they got an ending or whatever, but like I wanted to figure it out like the constant her keeping the secret always engaged. Like I've always I watched the Secret World of Alex Mack. How is she gonna get through this situation? How is she gonna tell her
Exactly.
friends? How is she gonna handle going to the prom being a liquid monster thing?
She's not a liquid monster. She's just like yes, she's like a shapeshifter or a changeling from DS9. She has to revert to her liquid state every now and then.
Oh, I'm trying to find the gist. I'm looking at like Secret World of Alex Mack. Had that on here. Where,
Larissa Olenek. Oh my gosh, I remember all these names. Larissa Olenek, Meredith Bishop, her, sister, Annie.
Is it the secret? Eh, why am I not seeing it now? Oh, there it is. You pulled it up?
Secret World of Alex Mack. Yep, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page. After getting splashed with an experimental chemical, junior high school student Alexandra Mack finds that she has extraordinary powers.
That she
But
just
what
gets
are the powers?
powers. Doesn't know what it does. But yeah, the intro was really
That
cool
was like
too. I remember loving the intro for that. It's just like I don't know. It was just so freaking. How many? This is on for 4 years. Wonder how it ends.
okay.
I'm just
She
curious
she
now.
has she has new powers that, yeah, it ran for 4 seasons, and it ended in '98, January '98. But she has the ability to shoot electricity from her fingertips and morph into a blob of goo. She has to keep her powers a secret because the company, like Paradise Valley Chemical Company, that made the would love to find out who got doused with it. It doesn't help that she tends to glow when she gets nervous, but her best friend Ray and super smart sister Annie are there to help out.
Wait, wait. Jessica Alba was in this show.
What? Where?
It says this is, by an older student named
Oh,
Jessica in season one. Jessica's actress Jessica Alba
oh god, yeah, she did
left for other
here.
projects, and the character was replaced with Kelly. So she was just a side character.
Oh, okay, so she's
She wasn't.
somebody
She
she knew at
wasn't.
school.
Yeah, she wasn't Alex. But I was like, why? It was like highlighted in the description. I'm like, oh, okay, neat. Oh man, I just that show was really funny. It was great. I don't know. I guess she like has a serious relationship with Hunter, a new boy in town or something, and that's what the end. And then she gets her first kiss. That's the end of the end of the show.
Oh, look at that.
But no, I would say Magic School Bus was probably my favorite from that year. Gargoyles, I would say, would be close because I like that show a lot.
Good
Um,
show.
yeah, but can I just say The Stand again? Is that okay? Can I just use it
Yeah,
again?
sure.
Aladdin also came out that year. That's actually a good cartoon.
Yeah, I could have told you that the A Whole New World was the number 1 song of that year, but I chose not to.
Oh, okay. Did you want to give any happy news? I get
I
it.
chose
It's
to
all
bring
good.
up suicide
So here
for
you go. Here you go, Paul. This is the time. This has been a very long journey to go through these Mochi TV shows. What is your favorite TV show for the first half of 1990?
Ooh, it's a tough one. If I had to my finalists are definitely Talk Soup, Late Night with Conan O'Brien, and Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
That you
I'm
didn't
gonna
even
go
know
with
about,
Conan.
Conan.
Yeah, they even put it in there. I mean, I didn't watch DS9 until much, much later, but like, Conan and Talk Soup, I was
I
watching
think as you
regularly.
rewatch Deep Base Nine all the time, do you rewatch Conan stuff?
Yes.
You do? Okay.
I've been, like, rewatching whole episodes of
Oh,
Conan. Like,
okay.
a month ago, I was just watching just, like, older episodes from the, like, mid to late '90s, some of that stuff. Some of their early, like, mistakes too, like, where stuff would just go wrong on the show. So good. But
My favorite,
yeah, what about
I think my favorite is Batman. I really do. I can't
you?
like. I mean, it's like out of all the ones, I mean, that's the one that I watch like a ton of. I mean, like, X Files maybe would be close to that, but like, but yeah, Batman represents this time for me. Like, I love that freaking show.
It
I can't
really is
think of a better option than that
an animated show.
for all the ones we talked about. I mean, I
Yeah,
already talked about enough about that.
a superior animated show, it's Space Ghost Coast to Coast, where where no one's actually animating anything, they're just copying old Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
Man, the interviews for that are so freaking bonkers. Like the people on those shows. You know what that's like? That's like that show is kind of like what the Galaganakis, what's that guy's name?
Oh, Between Two Ferns.
Between two
Yeah,
birds.
with
It's kind of like
Gal.
that, right? The way that
Yeah,
interview structure was, like it's
exactly, like, the person is, like, put off, like, "Why the hell, like, what are these questions?" Like, yeah, it's all kind of awkward and weird and not very flattering to anybody.
yeah. Oh
Yeah,
man,
it's
it's So good. It's so odd. Like I'd be like,
Jeez, man.
if my agent
I'm
came to me like, "Hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to show do Space Ghost Ghost Ghost?" It's like, what the hell is that? But then they would get like so many big people on that. I don't understand how that happened.
Hulk Hogan, Michael Stipe from REM. They got um
Jim
dang it, I
Carrey's
think
been on there before. I know that. Like, I mean,
Jerry.
I think
I say Robin Williams did it too.
they had that guy that did that. What was that talk show guy with the suspenders? He was on there. I think he was on there too.
Talk show guy with the suspenders.
You like Larry King, Larry
Oh,
King.
Larry King. Yes. Larry King. Okay. No, it was a great show. Great show.
All right.
Oh,
Well,
they're all great shows.
let us know what your favorite show was during this era, and then come join us on our next episode that's going to come out next week, or whenever you decide to watch it. I mean, maybe it's already been out. Who knows? But anyways,
That's
tell us in the comments what your favorite episode was. And this has been Playing Favorites. I'm Justin.
I'm Paul. See you next time.
Bye bye.